feels overwhelming because no one ever really taught you how it works. When things feel confusing, it's natural to avoid them. That doesn't mean you've failed. You don't need to know everything. You just need to take the first step. That's what the consultation call is for. It's a calm, clear conversation where we look at where you are, where you want to go, and what steps actually make sense for you to build wealth. No pressure. No jargon. You're allowed to ask questions. You're allowed to feel unsure. And you're allowed to want a future that feels safe and secure. Schedule your consultation call. It's the first step toward achieving your dreams with someone who will walk you through it, one step at a time. Wealth with Valor. Clear guidance, steady progress, real peace of mind. Scan QR code to schedule your consultation with Valerie Smith. Let's take the first step together.
All right. Welcome back to the Pain Point Podcast. It is Wednesday morning. Hello, how are you? Let me know how you're doing. Put a comment in the chat. We'd love to hear from you and know what your day is going like. What's your business doing? What's your intention for the day? And are you solving for your clients' pain points? So welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. I'm glad you're here today. What are we going to discuss today? We're going to discuss some great things. I've got a wonderful guest, and his name is Mosongo Moukwa, and I'm going to bring him up here today. I want to give him a great introduction. He has been on my stage. He is just a powerhouse, a dynamo, someone with fantastic experience, a great person, and we always have good conversations. And he helps capable small business owners turn solid revenue into clarity, profitability, and freedom. Featured in Forbes, International Business Times, and the Chicago Tribune. So welcome, Mosongo, to the stage. I'm so glad to have you here.
Yes. Hello, Nicole. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Oh, glad you are here. Let's get into, we're going to have some good questions in here. Just bringing up, going from one screen to the next, you know how it goes. Things are all about here, and today we're going to really talk a little bit about, how your clients are showing up. If your calendar is full, why does the business still feel heavy? On the episode of this Pain Point podcast, we're going to talk about that a little bit of that quiet trap that many successful owners fall into. How is your leadership working? Is the business working? But somehow you may be working harder. So it's great to have somebody here with that experience that's going to share the way to move the needle. 2026 is going to be a busy year, and it's a great year to get started. And I'm your host, Nicole Borgi. In case you don't know, I'm an event to scale visibility leader, and I show entrepreneurs how to leverage virtual events as a marketing machine. And this, my friends, quite simply, is a virtual event, and this is what we do. I encourage you to go check out our sponsors, Valerie Smith and Wealth with Valor, and also check out the Voice Lab. I'm going to put the link below. I want you guys to get in there. It's really for entrepreneurs. You feel busy. Businesses chase attention, and sometimes it converts and sometimes it doesn't. But Voice Lab, what does this do? Voice Lab's on the school platform. We're moving and grooving. We're growing 176 people so far. So you want to get in there. And it's just, how do you get sustainable growth? How do you achieve that? Well, you want to simplify your systems on the back end, right? You want to get those customer relationship management, that CRM, all that good stuff, your website, all the tech ready to go. That way you can show up and shine on stage and leverage your visibility. And that's what this is. So let's get into our questions today, Mosongo. It's great to have you back on the Pain Point podcast here. And sometimes why do you think, and with your knowledge and your experience, when you look at businesses, they can seem successful on the outside, but sometimes business owners feel like they're just drowning behind the scenes. They're not able to step up into that success.
Yes. Yes, yes, Nicole. That's actually a great question because like many entrepreneurs, you start your business with dreams of time, freedom, financial freedom that no other job can provide. But for many, those dreams actually feel distant with each passing year. You're working harder than ever. Logging more hours, taking more stress, and so on. And then too often the dream of entrepreneurship becomes now morphed into the reality of feeling like the hardest working person and the lowest paid employee in your own company. So that reality is actually too familiar for many small business owners because running a business is emotionally taxing, and the numbers actually don't lie. According to the U.S. Small Business Administration, 50% of small business owners they have reported working more hours in 2022 than they did the year before. So that was really, and I'm sure if we run it today, it's going to be no different. And also, the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that, which is a very sobering reality of business failures. 20% of new businesses fail within the first year, 50% close after 5 years, and 65% fail within 10 years. What happened, Nicole, is that as we are growing our businesses because of those challenges, cash flow, employee retention or turnover, and dealing with supplier and so on, at some point we lose the clarity. We lose really why are we doing what we are doing and who are we serving. So then I said, then what happened to the dream? Because the dream gets eclipsed over time. So that the dream of financial independence, of no longer answering to anybody, being to be able to spend time with family and take vacation, then it becomes almost unattainable. So instead, you get caught in that cycle of stress, self-doubt, and constant worry. However, there is hope. So that's what I just want to leave it on that good note there.
Yeah, it's sometimes it just seems like we need to pay ourselves a better bonus, right? Give ourselves a
Yes,
little bit more vacation time in a
yes,
sense,
yes,
when you look at it, to reward us for the business that we've done, that hard work that we've
yes,
done, the goals that we've achieved, and
yes,
just it can seem going into it, the thought is great, and you want to achieve these goals, but yet there's nobody at the end of the game and the course to really cheer you on or to
yes,
celebrate with you in that win. And I think that's time to take steps to look at that. But so you know, so it seems that, the business can be profitable, but
yes,
maybe fundamentally broken is kind of what
mhm,
you're saying. So
yes,
should entrepreneurs chase more growth when they actually need more clarity, or are there times set strategically that you should stop and look at every quarter, take a step back in what you're achieving every 10 weeks? How should you
yes,
scale to do it in a way where you are doing effective leadership and also soul-led leadership from within, so you're not going to lose your business, because you want to make sure that
yes.
there's some type of harmony there.
Yes, yeah, you put your finger right onto it. From my work, working with from my own experience and also working with small business owners, there are three things. One is reconnected with your purpose, why you're doing it, and who are you serving. I found that when you do that, it helps you reconnect with your compass and it brings that energy. The second thing is that you need then to redesign your business so that you can focus on the elements that are really driving your revenue. So that's the second element. The third one now is then for you to sustain that performance by building leadership capabilities, ensuring your energy level is always, at the peak level, by you looking at your relationship with family members, a relationship outside your work. When you do all those three, when those three are aligned, then now you're firing all cylinders. That's really where you're performing at the peak. Now, so you really need to do those elements. So if we take, for example, just the redesigning your business, for that we have to remember the 80-20 rule. So which says that 80% of your effect of your results really coming from 20% of the input, and that is true for the revenue. So what I've discovered is that 20% of we do every day is responsible for 80% of revenue. Most business owners are not able to identify what are those 20%. So that also means that the 80% that is there, then you have to let go some of them. Maybe not all. We hate doing our taxes, but we still have to do it. So that is there. But you have to find what is it among those 80% that is draining you. So that's what you have to do. Now, if we look at the 20%, Nicole, so there are actually only a handful of areas to focus on. You have to focus on leads, you have to focus on conversion, you have to focus on the closing rate, you have to focus on client retention, you have to focus on your price, and you have to focus on frequency of sales, and you focus on cost. So what I find is that when we put out 20% of our time specifically on those, then that is a predictable path to profitability. And that could generate actually 80% of your revenue in a very sustainable way. So that's what it is in the 20%. Now in the 80%, now you have then to see what are those things that actually are draining you. It could be your suppliers. Some of them may be draining your energy. It could be some of your customers who keep asking you for samples, but they never buy. It could be where you are spending your time. Perhaps you can delegate. So you can look at that. That would allow you not only to improve your revenue, but also reclaiming your time. Now you have time. You can spend it on the strategy. You can take a Johnny to the baseball game. You can take a Claire to the piano recital. So now you have the ability of doing that, and you feel energized.
Well, I like that because you show the energy that you're sharing, and a lot of times I know in that working in going back into corporate America years ago, we depended on the business giving us a vacation or awarding us, giving us those little kudos, and we're not fulfilling that. And are we fulfilling our teams as well? And that can get into gifts for our teams or our clients, and making sure that that is cyclical in the reward that we're sharing with other people. We want to share that experience. And so if you're a solopreneur working out there, virtually, how do you provide that solution? In a sense, you could just send them something, send them a card, send out certain strategic in your budget. Do you have gifts that you're sending out? Not just holidays, but even going into LinkedIn and saying, hey, happy birthday. It's a little something that is a marketing, it's valuable, but you're honoring your clientele, you're honoring your team, and you're honoring yourself. If businesses are working into that revenue and it's growing, what really happens? Where do you see that in the clarity, in the shift, when you are finding that reward and you're keeping to that 80-20 rule? Where do you find the shift if people, where's that loss? Because it's a financial loss. If you're mentally taxed and you're overburdened and you're not being a leader, stepping up and delegating to your team,
Yes.
it is a financial cost, right?
Yes, absolutely. So if we go back to those 7 elements I listed before, so leads, conversion rate, you have your retention, you have what you're charging, frequency of sales, and so on. If you take those, each one of those, and you improve them just by 10%, not one of them, but strive to improve each one of them, then you can see the impact on revenue. So for the audience out there, you can just take a generic example, leads, 100, whatever, conversion rate, whatever you have, closing rate, and so on. Now increase each one of them by 10%, you'll see tremendous improvement in your revenue. then now you need to look at profitability. So you need to look at your fixed costs, you need to look at your variable costs and so on. And if you compute those, you actually see that hey, I'm actually improving my profitability by 50% here. Now, if you are capable, and I venture to say it's possible, if you take those elements but you improve them by 40%, and then you compute revenue and then profitability, you're going to realize, man, I'm almost double my profitability here. So it becomes then a matter of discipline. But obviously, one can say, well, we cannot look at those 7 elements, but you have to look at your entry point. Is your entry point leads, or your entry point retention? Is it what? So you start there, but then you don't forget the other elements. So that's what you do. So you bring more money into the bank, and then now in the 80%, now that you're beginning to clean what is draining you, be it customers, be it supplier, be it what you do every day and whatnot. You don't need to be every day at the shop mopping the floor. I mean, you don't need to do that, frankly. You are the owner. You can help out every now and then, but you don't need to do that. You have today you have a lot of software that could help you manage your activities and so on. All of that will free up your time. So you're reclaiming it so you can spend more time either with your customers, more time with your family, and so on. So that's really I'm inviting the listeners out there just to take a napkin and then write down those things. Look at your leads, look at your conversion rate, look at the closing rates, look at the retention, look at how much you're charging per sale, frequency of sales, and put that and then say, if I increase each one of those by 10%, what will that do with my revenue? And you'll see the impact immediately.
So, I like that you say that. I mean, just take a napkin and write it down. Make it simple
Yes.
and just what is going correct, right? And if
Yes.
you should
Yes.
know that in a sense, and you'll have that in your books, and you should
Yes.
have that as well, but you should have some numbers in
Yes.
your mind of what you're working with, so you're constantly working towards your goal. And if
Yes.
something doesn't work, you can eliminate it or
Yes.
adjust and pivot. And
Yes.
that's a simple exercise to do. And I think that helps when you're going through your day, especially like at the end of the week. Is
Yes.
this something that you do at the during your week, or you're doing this at the end of your week? And just a simple exercise to make sure that you're staying on focus for the next week. So next Monday, if your day starts on a Monday, then you're ready to rock and roll, and you're ready to change that mindset and do that pivot.
Yes, yeah, and Nicole, you said it very well. What happens is that many small business owners, and I used to be guilty of that. We don't always put our numbers down. How many customers we have approached today, how many of this, how many of that. I mean, we should be doing that with some regularity. That type of measure, it really gives us a sense whether we are progressing or whether we are stalling. So that's really one exercise that we need to do. The other point I wanted to say, Nicole, is that the exciting thing is that most revenue actually they're driven by the messaging, not the market. So what I find is that instead of trying to force a message down the throat of a market, actually the market already has a problem that want to be solved. So that formula will allow us to avoid us. So the key successful is to enter the conversation that is taking place in the head of your prospect. And many of the small business owners out there who are selling, I don't know, bakeries or others, whether they have a massage business and so on. Quite often, their messaging through their website does not really captivate the prospect. So that's really important. So you really need to look at what is the conversation that is taking place in every prospect's mind, so that you can then look at it. In fact, it's around two issues: the product that they cannot get and the solution that they desperately need. So what I'm encouraging people is to look at this way. Look at it in terms of captivating the customer. So what is their problem? And then you have to fascinate the customers. So you have to make a promise of a solution. Then you have now to educate them. You have to provide them evidence actually that your product or services is much better than anything out there. And then you have to close by giving them a compelling offer that they could not resist. So, for example, I worked years ago with this cosmetic surgeon, and on a website she was saying, let's she a prospect were mother, huh? So she was saying, let's have a body that will create envy, zero conversion, but just changing the messages by let's get the body that we had before we had children. All of a sudden the conversion rate increased. So still doing the same job, but now the messaging really addressed the issue that many mothers they were looking for. They were not looking to create envy. They just wanted to get back as soon as possible to the body they had before they gave birth. So this is what I'm talking about here. So
Right.
so so that
Yeah.
so that's that is an extremely important. Huh? What is the message that you have? It started there actually.
Yeah, it's really that message, the simplicity when you really hone in on what are your clients looking for. And you can do a simple search, keyword search, you do a hashtag search. You can even go into when you were talking earlier about technology, you can go into your chat and go in there and say, hey, Chat GPT, Claude, whatever you're looking at, and say, hey, what are the SEO and AEO word terminology that people search? That's why Google has that SEO, the search engine optimization. It has also increased through hashtags. They're not necessarily needed anymore because of the artificial intelligence that we use. So when you're utilizing AI, it will give you a conversion. It'll give you a top listing if you look for that. And statistically, what are people looking for? What do you hear? You don't want to do all that? I mean, do that to a sense, but then go into YouTube as well. And
Mm-hmm.
in YouTube, what are the top performing? What are those top performing viral or something that you resonate with for your clients?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
a lot of times your avatar can be in smaller businesses the avatar of you 1 to 5 years ago, right? Something
Yes.
that you've accomplished, something that you've achieved, something that you've overcome, or you found that there was a sticking point, a pain point somewhere that you've solved for and found a solution. So if you go back to that avatar and you hone that in, and then you go take all that into YouTube, what do you connect with? What's viral for you? What's the
Mm-hmm.
terminology? What's
Mm-hmm.
top? And you
Yeah.
take all those simple statistics. It's very simple to look at that so you don't get overwhelmed at first. Dive deeper a little bit later and go in there and say, hey, is this performing well? We just did that on the
Mm-hmm.
school platform for our group. Is what
Mm-hmm.
does our search engine optimization look like when people are looking for school? When
Mm-hmm.
people are looking at our post and what are the posts going? It works on all social media
Mm-hmm.
platforms.
Mm-hmm.
So this is all about leveraging your marketing. What are
Mm-hmm.
you saying? Who are you talking to? Who are you getting in front of? And if you're looking at like you had stated before, if you're looking in there and you're going, hey, what was my last week's performance? What was my last 10 weeks? What was my quarter? What is my last year? So you have those numbers and you start to talk about that. And you know what I do? Every day is my goals. And then on the other side of that, on the second side of that, I have a list of what did I accomplish today. So there's numbers for that day. So each day my intention is set early in the morning about 6 o'clock. And I write it out the night before, but in the morning, I make sure that it's there if it didn't go in there last night, if I was up late working on a project. And then I go in and there's numbers. What is that value, the quantitative value throughout the day? Did you have a one-to-one call? What is your goal? So put the goal ahead in the intention. What is that goal that I want for the day? So a one-to-one call. Am I selling a product? Am I making a referral? What is my goal with that person? Did you do the research for the call the night before or the day of? Are you
Mm-hmm.
looking and kind of going in there cyber stalking a little bit
Mm-hmm.
and look at people's
Mm-hmm.
profiles so you know what the goal of the conversation? Maybe that person is not your avatar client at this
Mm-hmm.
moment. Maybe they're a strong referral. So look where you connect and put that goal ahead of time. What is your goal during that? If you're going into DM to LinkedIn, are you looking at it like, hey, I have got 30 minutes. I can do 5 LinkedIn direct messages. I can comment on a few posts. I can go into the school platform. I can go into Facebook. Where are you going? So you want to put that as a value. That way you can, put that, solve for that solution for the next week and come back into that stronger. You also talked about how tech can ease this, and we often right now there's an overwhelm in tech stacking. Everybody's got an app, a thing, instead of working smarter and going within a system and finding that that system itself. And I use something like Event Raptor where I list my landing pages, my workflow goes in there because I have stages, I have speakers, I have events and my workflows goes in there, my speakers go in there. I can set up messages automated. I can put in the back office all the folders, all the swipe, and I also send them in an email because not everybody is ready for that. But it's a one-stop shop for me. It makes my life better. And then any assistant that comes in there anybody in the team can get trained in there. Any speakers come on my stage, I can either train them in there or I can go back there and help them out and work in that system. It's one platform we can all work together. And I think that it's much better than having 12 different. Do you need all that tech? And you're getting into overwhelm again. So always streamlining consistently with what you're doing. So when this happens and this shift comes, what are some great takeaways for people who say, hey, okay, I'm on point with everything. Made sure I had about half an hour for meditation. I put it on my calendar. I took a day off, went hiking. We were talking about that a little bit earlier, hiking and having a good time, getting out there, challenging yourself, making sure you're getting out in nature, maybe going with a team and all those great things. But when we have time for that and we are moving the needle, what are some things that people should be doing in their business to check maybe some exercises that you like to share with people?
Mhm, mhm. Yeah. No, these are good points. Huh? For example, your calendar that's something that could certainly work. You could have other tools, huh? In terms of even today when you're doing research, huh? With the Chat GPT for research purposes, has been a tremendous tool. Huh? I worked with a client a while back. They were trying to do some business expansion, and ChatGPT was very useful in terms of giving some clues and guidance in terms of the pro forma, the financial presentation, and so on. So all those tools are there for us to make our life easier if we know how to use them appropriately. It's not just to be browsing and so on. Because years ago on internet, people will spend hours and hours. They will disappear on the internet. But I think today there are so many good tools out there that really people it will really help people free their time. Huh? But that's really what it is there. But yeah, no, that's great. That's great, Nicole. Good point there. The other one I wanted to mention, Nicole, is that for small business owners to also understand the buyer's journey. The buyer goes through information gathering before the purchase. Research have shown that only 1 to 3% of the buyers, they're actually in the market to buy at any point in time. So what happened to the 1997% there? They are on the buyer's journey. So when you see people at the mall there, just remember that 90% of those people, they're just on the buyer journey. They did not come there with the intention to buy that skirt there. Huh? They're just browsing around, looking at what is out there. What should I buy? Why shouldn't buy? Even they ask themselves that question. It happens sometimes. You need a new laptop. It's maybe I should not buy. Well, why actually I should buy it? And whatnot. And then also who I should buy it from. So I mentioned earlier that formulation, where you have to captivate, fascinate, educate. When you begin to think in those terms, then you reduce now the number of touch points. So you literally, if before you had 100 iterations before you get a potential customer, now it's been reduced by 20 because now you have been able to pull them in much quicker than if you have not looked at the, is my message is really right out there. So that's what it is. And then once you have that, then the people come in, you get a number of them as a client. Then the question is that what happened to the other people who did not opt in? Well, what you have to do, you have to nurture those leads. It's as though you have put them back into the funnel again. So then now you have an additional 2 or an additional 3, and then you continue the cycle, and so on. So you nurture them by having a campaign where you are continually providing them something of value, so that they keep in their mind and so on. And then eventually you may lead them into getting into I mean they're in your funnel, getting them into becoming a client. So we tend to neglect the people who did not buy. Yeah, they did not buy. Okay, fine, forget them. But actually, no, you have to continue to nurture them. So that's also an extreme important point there. I thought I would share with your audience.
I think that's great. I mean, and this is what when I'm teaching a master class or working with clients, I think that's fantastic. When you talk about that, it's very important, the nurture sequence, the workflow that you're talking about, and email. Many people neglect this in their business, and it just is going back to strategically planning. Because I look at it like this: when you go, there are so many people that go into Walmart to get cash. And I used to live in Wyoming, so there's a lot of oil field workers. They would go into a Walmart to get cash because it was free. They didn't have to go to the ATM and spend the $5. They'd rather spend the $5 or the $3 on a pack of gum. So they go in there. Walmart's making $3 per the person. But in order, and it seems like they'll never spend anything over $5 or $10. Whatever happens to be in the aisle, maybe it's an impulse buy early in the morning. It's 6 in the morning. They're heading out to the field. There may be a few things that they take away, some other candy or something, a trinket, a thing that happens to be in an aisle. So maybe Walmart made $20 in the next month.
Yes.
And then Walmart always has the aisles behind the cash register a little bit further down. And if you go into the superstore, you've got groceries. So if that person is like, hey, I've got an extra 5 minutes, I want to get a snack. Maybe they need a new shirt. Their shirt's a little bit dirty from the day before. They needed to get a new shirt real quick. It's right there. Now that person's probably paid $50. The next journey is $100.
Yes.
So Walmart, in a sense of just having that available right by the cashier stand, it's there. That person is now going to be a larger spend customer. There's a different customer journey for them. They know it's all that those shirts are always going to be there behind the register. That candy is going to be there and the food is going to be there. So there's other things, and there's also digital stuff that will bring them back further, the tech stuff further into the aisle, and it's a bit more of a money spend for them.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
very easy to do, and I think this goes into when we talk about the nurture sequence.
Yes.
When you talk about emailing, if you let people know, thanks for attending the event, thanks for getting my free cool lead magnet, my giveaway. Hey, thanks for being here. And then you're nurturing them into that, reminding them of your giveaway,
Yes.
then offering them another maybe something that's $50. And then on the value ladder, it's something that's $100. And of course, you're always calling back in the next email or so to get it to a one-to-one call to get to services. And you never know when that's going to take place. And so if you set it and forget it, that's another tech thing, a SaaS component, software as a service, that if you're neglecting that, if you're not paying $50 a month, $100 a month just to do that, if you're not taking an hour a week to get a newsletter out, make sure your workflow's there, load into that CSV, your lead list. If you're not doing that and you're not doing that on social media, maybe that's 10 hours a week, but that's 10 hours spent What are you leveraging? It's marketing. You're going back to marketing. If you're charging and your services are 25 bucks an hour
Mm-hmm.
and you don't have a huge spend for a team, you take that $10 and how does it convert to hiring someone?
Yes,
Because
yes,
you're going to be online anyway. You
yes,
want to talk to people. And then as you bring in more money, what are you doing? Again, put that on your calendar. So there's simple things to do. I think it helps with people not be so overwhelmed. But when we're going into this and we look at this, and there's so many great takeaways here for entrepreneurs to look at that they're
yes,
aligned and that they're nurturing those leads. And
yes,
otherwise, coming on a stage means nothing if you don't have the leads. That's what you're doing for. And I know there's
yes,
less people are, the audience is not necessarily there. But I'm seeing and working with some specialists and some mentors and some coaches, and I'm finding that you want to get those people. It's a smaller group of people, and what that will spend 2 to 3 times more money,
mm-hmm.
but those people are spenders. Those people are dedicated.
Mm-hmm.
How does that work for you when you're taking your clients and you're working with people? Are you seeing that it's really the customer service that we
Yes.
need to go back to?
Yes, yes. No, this is a great point there. Good segue for me because I think small business owners, they are not inspiring themselves too much from what big companies they're doing. For example, you spoke about the price. Well, many small business owners, they're afraid to increase price. I don't want to increase. I'm going to lose customers. Yeah, you lose customers, but overall, you'll make more money. The reason is, this is the reason why, because you have those your customers. They are not all created equal, if I could say. Some of them, they are really buying a lot. Some of them, they're not buying much. They're draining your energy and so on. And years ago, I was we were in that predicament. People, oh no, let's not increase the price. They will never accept that. And then when I looked at the number, I said, well, there is this few handful of customers. They are buying 80% of our products. Then we increased the price without too much noise and whatnot. They did not disagree with us. The price went through. Obviously, along the way, we lost some other people, and then but overall the revenue increased. So what that told us is that actually all along we were charging them less than we should have. That's number one. Number two, for those that we lost, that maybe those were not really, they should not have been our customer. We did not need to spend time. So that's why I always say price is like a hypothesis. You put it out there, you test it out. You see how people will respond. That's what many of the big companies they do. The prices is changing all the time. They are gauging you. They'll move these cookies from this row. Then they'll put it in a lane 3 there. All of that is they're experimenting. They're experimenting and so on. So should a small business owner. They should also be experimenting. You have donuts here today. Tomorrow you put some croissant. Let me see how people are responding. You have to be able to experiment. Then you'll find really the golden, your good, gold that you are looking for. But we ought to be looking at what big companies are doing. They are very, very astute and good at that. And this is something that small business they should be learning from.
You know, yes, what are you using? How are you using it? And constantly using it. And I think it gets a lot easier if you break it down into a bit of chunks and simplify it. You're
Yes,
talking donuts and croissants. How much
yes,
easier it is that, and it
yes,
almost seems like a Sesame Street referral and a callback to Sesame Street, but it is that simple. And I think
yes,
that's where, and with having conversations with you, Masongo, it's just it's really kind of changed that thought for me of how are we simplifying our thought process, because it could
yes.
be so overwhelming. But if we look at it more like donuts and croissants, it's much easier to look at it and go, oh, okay, my cup
Yeah,
is
yeah,
full, my cup is empty, right?
yeah, and I don't mean to interrupt you, Nicole, but the other example is in terms of bundling products. When you go to the movie, you can buy a Coke there at $5, and then popcorn. I don't know what it is these days, but popcorn, let's say $6. So if you buy them separately, it's going to cost you $11. Now, what the cinema people, they will say, oh, you can buy all this together, it's going to cost you $10. In the mind of you, the movie goer, that, oh man, it's cheaper, when in fact you only save $1. But so there are a number of things that we do that we can bundle, rather than buying this, you can actually buy this together. And then you're going to realize actually your revenue now is increasing rather than you buying those single items separately. And that has been proven in economics, and that's what many of the big companies they're doing. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and to take it back to a Walmart conversation, right? When you buy snack packs of something, you're getting a better price, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you buy a bigger bulk of milk, you're getting a
Yeah.
better price. And when you bring it back to business, you're probably going to give that to the customer as extra value anyway.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So you're getting a larger spend from that customer,
Yeah.
a $3,000 package instead
Yes.
of, and the customer will see that. If I have
Yes.
to pay 3,000, 3,000, and 3,000, it's a total of 9,000, but you're going to give me this package for maybe 7,000.
Yes.
I can get it all right now. I can
Yes.
get what I need. You can help me fix this
Yes.
problem, and
Yes.
we're all good.
Yes. Yes.
And it's just the thinking of, and for me, I know, and some of my clients that I talked to, it was like, are you just discounting this, and are we being cheap? And I think that that was a problem when you're talking prices and the value that you're bringing and you're looking
Yes.
at that. No, you're
Yes.
not cheapening the deal. You're
Yes.
just
Yes.
sharing that there's value here if you
Yeah.
buy
Yeah.
this, and you're
Yes.
probably going to want this anyway. And
Yes.
if you find, so what does that conversation look like for people when they're having those conversations now that they've changed their bundle and they've changed their prices? What type of conversation should they have in their script with their client so that they feel more comfortable having that conversation, so they're not like, hey, I'm giving you a discount and now you're buying something, you're buying a Gucci purse versus, you're getting a cheap Walmart bag, right? So now you want to level up the worth that you have to feel into that, to know that that's going to be more successful for your client.
Yeah, the conversation really, as you put it, it has to be in terms of the value. So you go to McDonald's, you can buy a burger separately, fries separately, but if you buy the meal, all of a sudden it becomes cheap. So that's the value here. So I'm offering you this bundle of products here. Your burger, your this, and your apple, the dessert there. I forgot even the name and whatnot. All of this for less money than if you bought them separately. So that's the value that I'm providing you. So you can have more things for less money. Because as you eating your burger, maybe you want to fry, but you don't want to spend that extra. But if you buy them together, I'll give you a discount and so on. So it's a psychological, but I can assure you, McDonald's is making more money bundling that way than selling those things separately. So people could compute the numbers, and the economists that have done the research in that area as well. That bundling will give you more money. You bundle what it makes sense. Obviously, you have to put things that are complementary. Not the things that are opposing. You put buy a soda and popcorn. These are complementary. That's why HP is selling us. Is selling us a very cheap printer, but then you need the cartridges. So overall they're making a lot of money. You say, oh, this printer is only $100. Okay, fine, but hey, you have to spend $40 for the cartridges. So sometimes they'll say, when you buy it here the first time, we'll give you a bunch of those cartridges free and whatnot. All of that is a way for them to increase the revenue, and then the customer feels that he's getting a lot of value from what they are doing.
Right. And yes, you're doing you're buying in bulk in a sense. And I think that there's
Yes,
value there. It's not something that's going to go bad on the shelf. And if you do a good job of explaining the synergy of the package that you're
yes,
you're sharing with the client,
yes, yes,
how does this work together? So I find most people need an email Most people need some social media, so they need some swipe copy.
Yes.
They need
Yes.
social media. They need graphics when they come to an
Yes.
event. They're going to want some video, so that's what you're going to get as a client.
Yes.
And then share with them the value of the evergreen
Yes.
service that's
Yes.
provided by building out a summit or an
Yes.
event, and the visibility and the leverage, because
Yes.
those summit videos can be put into clips, and those clips,
Yes.
how
Yes.
much does it
Yes.
cost? So if
Yes.
you're getting
Yes.
an all-inclusive value plus
Yes.
the leads, how
Yes.
much is your cost per lead? Is it your cost per lead $1, or is it $10? Are you getting all the leads when you come on the stage? So
Yes.
it's looking at the value that you're providing for the client when you're having
Yes.
that conversation,
Yes.
and
Yes.
saying you're going to have to pretty much buy this anyway, so you could
Yes.
just buy it all here in a
All over here.
one-stop shop, and that way
Yes.
they're coming back to you.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
They're
Absolutely.
coming back to the expert, right?
Yes, 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 yes. No, you're absolutely right there. You're absolutely right there. So for me, my job, what I do is that I try to help those small business owners to shift from carrying the weight of all the daily operation and the constant decision to leading, from there to leading with clarity, authority, and discipline. Focus on the few drivers that really will move profit, margin, and long-term value, so that they could build then a profitable, self-sustaining business that will fuel their freedom, that will renew and protect their energy, that will support their life instead of consuming it. Then the business then becomes something that lifts them rather than something that they must constantly look at stabilizing or holding together. And what I find is that if that transformation does not happen, what happens is that the business continues demanding more from the owner. Complexity compounds, margin quietly compress, more decisions flow back to the founder. And over time, that pressure increases and the freedom slips further away, So what started as this bold vision then becomes a responsibility that you have to carry rather than a business that should be supporting you structurally, really. So that's really what I do, Nicole.
I think that really brings us back to, in this conversation, what we're looking at is how you're sharing with people how to really align the life as a business owner and really find quality for you and for your clients, and really that focus. So one last thing here before we end, because this has been a great conversation. Lots of tips here and lots of solutions, so you don't go back there and scrambling, feel overwhelmed, stuck in that pain point. So if every entrepreneur listening can make one change after this conversation, where would you say, if they're 5 years plus in their business, what would that one change that would make them a little bit more successful this year?
I would say uh, 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 take a break, look at your numbers, look at how you're doing on leads, how you're doing on this, how you're doing on that, and ask the question: Am I spending enough time there? Where does it break down here? So that's one thing I would want people to do tomorrow. The other thing I will ask for them to do, if you have not taken your spouse or your partner for dinner, take a break, make a commitment. This weekend coming up here, drop everything, take them for dinner, because then your business will not collapse because you have taken your spouse or your partner for coffee or for dinner. So that then you all of a sudden you realize actually this is not preventing you really for doing the things that matters, which essentially is the focus on the life that the business was meant to support, not the other way around.
That's great. Reward the person that supported you, your biggest
Yes.
cheerleader, and definitely check
Yes.
out that napkin that napkin thing. Just get a piece of paper, even a post-it note, and start running your numbers real quick. And then check your successes off. I love that so much.
Yes.
I've shared your information so people can connect with you, Masongo. And as always, it's a powerful conversation. I've got many takeaways, definitely some notes that I scribbled down and things that I'm going to look at to really find that clarity in action. And also, guys, check those links out. Go into the school platform. Come and join us. Learn about the school platform, and you get more masterclass, mini learning sessions here on solutions, real-time solutions. That's what is the best thing about this is that's what my goal is for 2026 is to drive that home is the real-time solutions that you want to look at for your business. I'll put the voice lab in there and a great conversation. Connect with Mosongo. I put your website in there and your LinkedIn. Is there any last takeaways?
Yes, I wanted to share with the listener out there one resource, which is called Clarity Diagnosis. So I don't know, should I put it on the chat here or what
Yeah,
should
put
I
it
do?
in the chat. I'll share it with everybody.
So here you go. So it's a resource. It will help them just reflect on to have some clarity in terms of what are the leaks in their business.
Yeah, fix those leaks, you guys. Fix those holes in your business. Oops, this came back, popped back up. Okay, got me in stereo here. I want to share this in the chat and LinkedIn as well on YouTube and Rumble. Thank you for watching. We had a few people there in the chat today in LinkedIn. A little shout out there. We had Mona in there today, moving and grooving, our top #1 in there in the chat. And you guys don't forget to like and subscribe. We will be here every Wednesday for the Pain Point podcast. All right. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Okay, Nicole, thank you so much for having me on your show. Thank you.